What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome into another live segment. Happy Friday. And if you're watching this on the playback, I do appreciate it. This video is sponsored by Erebus indirectly. It's going to be one of the watches that we show here. So I do want to mention that. And Erebus, when I did the review, they sent me the watch in as a sample, or they gave me the watch for free, right? So I didn't have to pay for it. So they're the sponsors for this video. But I'm really excited about this live. I finally got the green light to show my wife's collection. So I think that this is going to be a lot of fun, at least for me. And I'm going to tell you guys how I was able to convince my wife from going from never wanting to collect. She said, babe, I never want to watch. It's not going to happen. To having a full-fledged collection to the point where she's going to need a watch box at this point. Now, she's not an enthusiast per se. However, she is a collector and she does love her watches, because one of the ways that I got her attached to her watches and getting into watch collecting was customizing them and tailoring them to her personality. And we're going to go through that, but I want to let some people come in. I'm going to show you guys her full collection. I'm also going to show you, we're going to go to some websites to see the watches, where they came from and everything else. But again, today's sponsor is by Erebus, because that is a watch that was sent to me and she took that watch. And I'll explain to you guys why. So no Red Bull today. We're actually drinking a little bit of Henny because we had a long week and I need to relax. So don't judge me. Calm down. I actually have a watch that is going to be a his and hers type of thing. So we're going to cover a lot of things here, ladies and gentlemen. And yeah, man, let's have some fun. Let's hang back. Let's talk. Let's have some chat. Everybody who is watching, I do appreciate you guys for coming in. Everybody watching on the playback, I do appreciate you guys too. And here's the deal. I wouldn't be able to do this without your support. So I really do appreciate everybody who does support the channel, who is subscribed. We're able to do a lot of great collaborations with companies. Lastly was Zelos. We did a Dufresne video. And what's on the wrist is what's the question is. I actually, let's take it off so you guys can see. So this is an E. Stolman, and I have this on a bracelet. It doesn't come with a bracelet. In fact, it comes with a supple strap, right? So a very nice strap. We did an unboxing for this. I actually put this on a mesh because I wanted to see what this watch looked like in metal, and fantastic vintage vibes. We're doing a deep dive on this watch to really take apart and really see the benefits that we have for this watch. So I'm enjoying this. The deep dive review will be out very soon for that, but it's not about my watches. Oh, I'm double wristing, by the way. F91W, of course. Double wrist. Double wrist is bliss. So, any case, should we start off? I'm going to wait a couple of minutes. I'm going to talk about. Okay, so let's talk about the journey. Yes. So the wife said, and of course, you know, I got into watch collecting. I got very excited, and I started putting watches in my collection, and started paying a lot of attention to watches. And she never owned any watch up until that point, right? And I asked, of course, I ask, you guys know about this crazy hobby and how it goes. I asked if she would want to watch. I would purchase it for her, of course. And she told me that she would never be interested in putting a watch on her wrist. So I got into customizing watches. So I'm going to give you guys the first step. This is what worked for me. You know, your mileage may vary, you know, but I've tried multiple times, trying different styles and offering for her, and it didn't work. She said, stop asking me. And I got to customizing watches, building them from scratch. I started off doing that from AliExpress. And the reason why I did that is because I was very new to building watches. Therefore, I didn't want to spend a lot of money in the components, right? So they can be expensive, especially if you're not familiar with knowing what to do, and you can make mistakes and you have to replace parts as you're building watches. But as I got better, I asked her if I could build a custom watch. She said no. But then I got into the idea of customizing watches completely. And what do I mean by that? AliExpress in some stores offer you the ability to customize a dial. And by that, I mean you can make your logo, you can put a name on there, you can put an image on there as long as it's pretty, like generally pretty simple. Yeah. And after I was able, or I learned that I was able to do that, I told her that I would be able to fully customize the watch. And I had some ideas that I pitched to her. So that was the hook, if you will. And so my wife by trade is a preschool teacher. She's been a teacher for 16, 17 years. And so I told her that I would be able to completely customize the bracelet, the dial, the actual logo, and an image, if you will, on it as well. And at that point, she was excited to for me to build a watch, right? And I kept it to the theme of being a teacher. So I want to bring on stage. I think this was the first watch. I'm not sure. Yeah, this has to be the first watch. So I want to bring that up to the stage. I have my watch cam because we're getting fancy over here. We're getting nice. So this was the first watch, right? Teacher themed. And as you guys can see, as that second hand moves. So first of all, her teacher name is Miss Sharifa, right? Because that's what the kids call her, Miss Sharifa. And by the way, they're preschool, right? They're very young. So it's Miss Sharifa, Miss Sharika, whatever they can get out. And so I told her, what if I put your teacher name as the logo, right? And I put an apple to signify it being a teacher. And once I told her that, she was like, okay, that would be kind of cool. And I told her that I would be able to custom pick which hands to put on the watch. And so I was able to let her design the watch essentially, and then I would assemble it. So I think that part of it had to do with the fact that, of course, I was assembling it. Of course, it was custom, and it was towards her career path and everything else. So my first recommendation, if you will, or my first suggestion would be, if you are in fact meeting resistance, try to start dabbling with customizing watches. Start dabbling with putting together watches on yourself. And I always recommend this, guys. I always recommend that you start assembling watches somewhere down the line. And I know that there are certain people that don't believe in touching watches or assembling watches or leaving watches being built by watchmakers, right? But there's something to say with assembling a watch and being able to appreciate the actual feel for it, right? The mechanics, how sensitive or how sensitive the watch parts are, right? It's easy for us to get upset when a watch hand becomes removed from the actual movement when we get the shipping of it. However, when you assemble a watch and you see how delicate those hands are and how the vibrations can interact with it, it may change your perspective. So let's blow this up really quickly. So this is the actual watch that I built with her. Again, it has the teacher apple on here, Miss Sharifa, and she actually enjoyed rose gold case with the rose gold bracelet. Of course, if it's Jubilee, or I should say J-style bracelet. And she actually liked the fact that it had the leaf style hands. So that was the very first, and it's on that nice soft pink on it. And that is how I was able to convince her to say the okay for the first watch being built. Now, it didn't stop there, okay? After that, she kind of had her own type of theme on how she wanted to have her watches built. And we went from that to another rose gold build, which I'll show you guys real quickly. But again, we customized the watch, and that was my way of being able to convince her to go ahead and start her collection, if you will. And once you get the first watch, you're in. So go ahead and try to replicate that. I'll give you guys another idea on how to do so, right? So that was the teacher watch. She loves it. She absolutely loved it. So her rose gold type of build was her thing. And so I told her, hey, how about your favorite animal, right? And she's in love, her spirit animal, if you will. And that, let me just show you guys, that has like that, you know what kind of bracelet this is. I don't want to say it. It's the R style bracelet. And it has, I believe this has also a quick adjust on here, if I'm not mistaken. Some of them do, some of them are tooled. Yeah, this is a tool to adjust, but some of them actually have the quick adjust. And the first three watches that I'm going to show you guys, like this watch, hang on, let's get the camera set. There we go. This watch with the Jubilee bracelet, it has this security clasp on it and everything else. The first three watches were all AliExpress builds. And we have some watches on here that are from actual companies, and we'll go through that. But just to give you guys the synopsis, it was all custom watches in the beginning in order to intrigue her. So let's go to the second watch that I built her, and you'll see a going theme. Let's get the camera all set on the watch. Yeah. All right, so the backstory on this, and those of you from Watch Crunch know that I like to make my little Santana dials and everything else. Now, when it comes to AliExpress watches, they're most likely going to be homages. Like, they're pretty much homage parts. Not always. You can search NH35 and look for like an NH35 unique watches and go through the gamut when it comes to that. But for the most part, availability wise, when you search AliExpress and you go through like a custom dial, they also have the other parts available, but there's also a whole bunch of parts that are free for you to match up with the NH35. So if you're looking to replicate what I did here for your special one, now it could be a husband too. It doesn't have to be a wife. We're talking about wifey, but generally speaking, men already collect watches or are open to having a watch. So that's why I'm focusing more. And also that was my path, right? Like it was my wife that I was trying to convince. So on AliExpress, most of them are homage style parts that are on there to make it work. So this is another watch that I built, and this is another idea. If not your wife's profession or your husband's profession, go after their spirit animal. And her spirit animal is an elephant. So I got a simple rendering for the elephant. And again, I also added that apple on the last watch, right? So here's how it works. A AliExpress store offers a custom dial. You then contact them and say you're interested, obviously, in doing that. You can send them any image. I recommend keeping the image very simple if you're going to do that, because something a lot complicated is not going to translate. And then you also want to ask them for photo images of it, not only a close-up, but you also want to have a rendering that is like pretty much in the shot, like how this watch is here, right? Because I tell you guys that because when I got images back, sometimes it was a little too small. And because they do a close-up, it's hard to gauge what the size is of the image that you want on there. So make sure that before they send the watch, before you okay it, that they're sending you photos of it at different distances, something along the lines of this. This way you make sure the proportions are correct and everything else. Let me make sure. I don't think anything's coming up on chat. You guys are just maxing and relaxing, I suppose. Yeah, nothing on chat yet. Okay, I'm just gonna keep going. So anyway, for my family, I built a Santana watch for myself, and then I decided to build a Santana watch for my entire family: my brother, mother, father, my wife, of course, my sister-in-law. So that was kind of like my thing. And what was available is a lot of the homage, clomage style watches, which is fine. You can look up custom watches for the NH35. You just type in like unique NH35 cases or hands or whatever it is that you're trying to get a little outside the box. So this was the second watch that I built for the wife, and her spirit animal is an elephant. And as you can see at the 6 o'clock position, we have that elephant. And then at the 12 o'clock position, we have Santana. So she absolutely loves this watch as well. She was already starting to wrist the watches, if you will. And that was how I got her to bite. So going from that, there's another custom watch that we're going to take a look at. And before we do that, let me just make sure I'm up to speed. Let me sure the cameras are good. Hang on one second. Okay, cool. So from there, we see a going theme. Rose gold case, right? That's what she liked. Rose gold case, rose gold hand, applied. Pretty decent, if you will. And these watches are years old. So when it comes to the quality, on there. They're holding up. Now, again, she doesn't wrist them all the time. She doesn't wear her watches all the time. So, by the way, on this first watch, this was actually built with a NH35, right? Because there's no date wheel aperture on there. So and let me tell you something. I regulated the movement of this NH30, no, excuse me, NH38, 38, plus 1 second a day. You know what I mean? Like, that was crazy. When I finally was fussing with it and I got plus 1 second a day, I was like, sheesh. So I assembled that and I was pretty happy about that. This one is an NH35, your typical date aperture on it, if you will. And she loved it. She loved it. Again, she designed the watch. I assembled the watch for her and we took it from there. So that was that. And then again, we went with a rose gold theme. So we went from that to this. Now you guys are going to immediately recognize the dial on this, I'm sure. This is the Celebration, the Rolex homage, if you will. And she loved this dial. She really loved this dial when I showed her the watch. And of course, she was still into the rose gold type of theme. So I constructed it still from the same case. Now, this one's a little bigger. That was the only difference between the other watches that you saw. I think this one is a 39 millimeter or 40 millimeter. The others are a 36. It's tough to get an NH case that is smaller than that. I've fussed with it for a while. There are some cases that are a little bit smaller, but for the most part, what is available is a 36 millimeter. Okay. So that was that. So we went from those two watches that were completely customized. Now, this one, I didn't do any customization to it. As you can see on the dial, I didn't do anything for the logo. I just built it around the case. I gave her leaf hands on the first two. On these are more standard hands. And I didn't go rose gold. We went more of that silver type of hands on there. Blissful Ignorance, what's going on, brother, man? I did more of a silver tone to match the indices on here. Still applied. So here's the deal. Like, the quality that you're going to get from AliExpress, what can you expect? Yes. From my experience, I built a lot of watches from AliExpress, and I had only one issue with one case as far as a failure to it, right? So I built maybe 40, probably less than that, maybe 30 watches from AliExpress, just messing around, switching parts out. You know, I have other watches that I've gone into multiple times to make it work. So, but my point is this. Are the parts on AliExpress completely trash? The answer to that question is no. If you're wearing that watch every single day, maybe your results will vary because she doesn't wear her watches every single day. So I'll be forthcoming when it comes to that. However, I have used parts for my own watches to swap out on customized watches, and I haven't had any issues, to be honest with you. Once the watch was assembled, I've had no failure rate on the indices, on the hands, on the movement, crown. It was only one time where I received the case where the crown tube, right? That's the part that the crown screws into, completely was removed and it was weak. And so 1 out of 30 is not bad. Eric Mack is in the building. What's going on, brother? So you can, and I do recommend, if you want to get into watch modding and you want to get your feet wet and you want to go the most affordable route, AliExpress is a decent way to start for sure. And I built all those 3 watches were totally 100% from AliExpress, just so you guys know. Sipping a little Henny here. What are you guys drinking? What are you guys wearing? Let me know. So that was the hook. Yeah. Hold on 1 second. Let's remove this screen. That was the hook, right? That was how I got her to put a watch. And here's the deal. That's the goal. The goal, however it may be, maybe it's not a custom watch from you. Maybe you can tie something into their childhood. Maybe you can ask her grandmother or your grandmother to, however you have to get a watch on the wrist. And dare I say it, I'm going to get canceled. Even if it's an Apple Watch, here's the deal. I started with an Apple Watch before I started collecting anything, right? Because I didn't like having any kind of jewelry on. It took me a while to even get used to my wedding ring. I just was like a person that didn't wear anything. And the Apple Watch, because I thought that maybe tracking my sleep would improve my life drastically, got me used to having something on wrist. So even if you have to get her a smartwatch, if she's into that, maybe she's exercising, he or she, right? I'm using that interchangeably. Start there. Get something on their wrist. That's step one. Step two would be get something that is custom made to them. And I don't mean custom built, I mean something that they can latch onto, that they will be nostalgic about or excited about, or something that makes sense. And that's going to make sense as we progress into there as well. Rocking the Deep Blue. Deep Blue is a great watch. I would love to do a collaboration with them. They make fantastic dive watches from what I hear. And I think that they're also a US brand. So I'm trying to reach out to as many US brands as a micro brand. Because I figured if I'm into micro brands, then why not connect with the ones that are in my stomping ground? So we are at the 3 rose gold watches, 2 of which are 36 millimeters. That one is, I think that's a 40, or that one is a 38, if I'm not mistaken. So let's take it from there. Where did we go from that? Oscar's in the building, of course, never misses a beat. You've got like that. You've got, you know how like in school when you had attendance and those kids had like those perfect attendance? Yeah, that's you, bro. Oscar's in the building. All right. So after those 3 watches that were custom, I'm trying to remember where we went from there. And I think I'm not sure. Okay, so don't hold me to the actual order, but I'm gonna show you guys another watch that she commandeered. That she said, yeet. Let's get the camera back up. Where is it at? Add to stage. That's not a good shot. Addie's Dive. Okay. So I purchased this watch on AliExpress. And the reason why I purchased the watch is I wanted to do a review of it, obviously, because a lot of people have put this watch in their collection, and there's been a lot of talk on YouTube about it. So I wanted to see what the hype was about. But what really intrigued me to purchase an Addie's Dive, let's fix the time so we can see the full dial. What really intrigued me to add this to my collection, honestly, is to see what the hype was about and to get a firsthand experience. Now, the nice thing about this is that this is a very affordable watch, right? This doesn't cost a lot of money. This one, it happens to be a Goddess style. I think this one's 100 meters of water resistance. But I purchased a watch because I made a bunch of mechanical watches for the fam, and they're not really up to par on how a mechanical watch works. So I wanted to see what it would be like to swap out the movement from the NH movements that I built for them. And I'm not speaking about my wife in this record. So when my wife wears a watch, a mechanical watch, she goes, "Fix it for me." She goes like this. She goes, because she knows, you have to set the time, you have to wind it. If it has a date wheel aperture, you can't change it at a certain time. So she just goes, "Fix it for me. Here you go. Fix it for me." So I wanted to see what the conversion rate would be for a quartz watch from a mechanical watch, to see if I can make it a little easier for those who weren't used to the functions of a mechanical watch. I don't know what happened, but that never happened. That never transpired. And as I was looking at this watch and trying to figure out if I wanted to go that route, I decided that I didn't. I just kind of laid off of it. I didn't do it. And she saw the watch and she said, "That's a nice watch over there." And now it's in her collection. So that happens. And I'm very excited for when that happens, because the more watches that she has, the more excited I am. And I welcome it. So I had this on the bench that you see behind me with all the tools, and I was getting ready to take it apart to see how it works, to see if I could do the conversion. She saw this and she loved the actual watch itself. She loved the dial. She loved the color aspect. She loved the material. She had 3 rose gold, so she was ready for a steal. And so she stole. She was ready for a steal, so she stole. She said, "That's a nice watch, my man. I'm gonna need you to size that to my wrist." And that was that. So I was happy to do that. I haven't even done a review video for it. That may be in the works moving forward, because here's the deal. It's a $50 watch and it's super, super affordable. So I want to bring up, let me check up on chat. Let me see what you guys, my wife. likes blinged out cases on her Samsung Galaxy Watch. There's a segue. So if she likes blinged out watches, get her a blinged out watch. They have a lot of watches that have those diamonds in it, right? So you know what I mean? Say, hey, this is for the watch case that you have to match. That may be your segue into it. You got to connect the dots. That's the main goal of it all. That's the main goal. Oscar's laughing. He's having a good time. That's awesome. Hanging out with the boys and the girls too. There's some females on the channel too. So Addie's Dive, this is the watch. And here's the deal, guys. I don't want to talk smack about this watch, really. But honestly, overall, I was a little underwhelmed by the watch. This is what I'm trying to look for here. This is the blue dial to it. I was a little underwhelmed. So if you see these images, it seems like there's a lot of wave pattern within it, which there is. I was expecting it to be a little bit more. Now, to be fair, this is an extremely affordable watch. So, you really can't expect the sun and the moon, if you will. This does have a VH31. Thank God I have that up because I always forget. I always ask you guys, what movement is that? This is the VH31. And the deal with that is it's a very smooth move compared to, I meant to remove the other one. But I'm not sure when that's going to happen. And I'm not too underwhelmed with it overall. It is what it is. Yeah, the crown screws down. It has a screw down case back. It's 100 meters. It's a grab and go. You guys have seen a bunch of reviews of the Addie's Dive, so it has a decent reputation as is. So I can't be too mad about that. So that was that. And I haven't even done the review video for that because she yeeted that from my possession very early on. Let me catch up on chat. I read that. High Hole Silver Lone Ranger's in the building. I always ask myself if the stainless steel is real 16L because of the price. The movement is like a gift. Yeah, that's a good way. I mean, look, there's a whole bunch of deals for the NH35. So for sure, if you're looking at the movement alone, the price of the movement alone, we're talking about $20 to $30 for an NH. Yes. So if you're looking at those affordable watches and they're around that $50, $60 range, Pagani Design is one. There's a whole bunch out there. Tandorio, we've covered that on the channel multiple times. So that's a good point to make, man. As far as the movement goes inside of it at that price, it's a steal for sure, as you said, Oscar. So you can't go wrong with it. And here's the deal, man. This channel has always covered affordable watches as is, and now we're getting into micro brands, and I have a Stolman on. This one's $2,800. This is the most expensive watch that has been loaned into the channel, but I'm never going to forget my roots. I'm never going to forget to cover the more affordable range as well. I put this on the mesh bracelet, by the way. This is a San Martin bracelet. It doesn't come with this. It comes with this supple strap, but I put it on the metal just to see what it would look like. And this is $2,800 for this collaboration watch with East Stolman, right? We're going to do a deep dive review. However, my collection very much started on a seriously affordable range, and I encourage you. I even say this: if I had to give you guys the best setup for your first mechanical watch, I would say buy parts on AliExpress and try to build one for your first one. Build an NH35 movement, NH38, NH, whatever it is. Build your first watch, man. Go for it. Just go all the way. Why do I say that? Because there's a different connection that you get to a watch when you build it. And you have to get used to the date wheel function and winding it and setting it and everything else of the like. So if you do that in a more affordable approach, and listen, if building is not for you, no problem. You have Tandorio, you have Pagani Design, you have Addis Dive. Like there's a whole bunch of Chinese brands that offer a seriously affordable watch. And I would say just to get used to the mechanism and get used to wearing it on wrist and everything else, go with something super affordable and go the NH route, because then even if you bought the watch fully assembled, if you want to change out a bezel, if you want to change out hands, there's plenty of parts available and you can go that route. Well, now we're going to talk about an upgraded route from AliExpress when it comes to going for parts. But I would say go that route to save the biggest coin. Let me catch up on chat because I'm falling behind over here. My son, 10 years old, let's pull that up. My son, 10 years old, is the only other person in my house who's interested in watches. Hey, man, get it where you can. Get it where you can. Start him young. Who's interested in watches? I'm hoping that he keeps up when he becomes a teenager and I'm not so cool anymore. Here's the deal. If you get him into watches now, watches may be something that is keeping dad cool, right? It may be something where you can keep that connection with him, even when he wants to hang out with his friends, even when you're doing the due diligence now, Eric, to be knowledgeable on the subject. So the key to that is don't give him too much too young. When he becomes a teenager, hold back on some information so he has to go to dad to confirm on some things. So even when he hangs out with his friends all day and dad's no longer cool, well, he has to come to dad for some information on watches. So watches have no race, no religion, no politics. They are completely neutral, and therefore dad can remain cool on the subject matter. That's my hot take on it, at least. Let me catch up on chat. I saw today a Facebook guy who owns a 5K piece and keeps going forward. Say what now? I saw today a guy who owns a 5K, owns 5,000 timepieces and keeps going forward. Listen, man, that's why I'm very sensitive when I'm like, oh, well, I only want my collection to be my ideal collection size is 31 pieces. It's 31 days on the longest month. Therefore, it's a watch a day for a month. Easy to rotate. I'm past that. I'm not going to be able to. I don't think I could get it down to there. I gave away a few watches to some people, and it cut my collection down by 10 pieces, and I think I'm still around 50. The point is this. You collect as many watches as you want to responsibly, and if 5,000, that's a lot, though. I'm trying to be like understanding, but 5,000 watches. But here's the deal, man. If that makes you happy, you could afford it responsibly, then more power to you. For me, sheesh, that's a lot. So I wouldn't do 5,000, but that's insane. Let me catch up on chat. Where was I? I lost it. My wife is not interested in watches at all. She has agreed to attend Worn and Wound with me tomorrow. Yo, get it where you can, bro. Here's the deal. My wife also wasn't into watches, but she also agreed to go to some shows with me. You never know, man. Being around that atmosphere, being around other enthusiasts, like it changes your insight for sure. When I went to my first micro brand show, which was 2023 in New York, it really changed my optics on how many people are actually interested. Yeah. Because at that time I wasn't on YouTube, and therefore my friends weren't heavily into collecting. But when I went to that watch show, I was like, oh, there's a whole slew of us, right? It is a thing. And if you went to the last 2024, you said wind up, right? No, you said Worn and Wound. I guess Worn and Wound is the wind up. Yes. I don't know. I know they are often there. However, when you're around other enthusiasts, and here's the deal, you're going to see a lot of other wives at the show that their husband dragged them to. So it's definitely going to build a stronger connection for your wife joining that show with you. She gets to see that there are tons of us, in fact, that are interested in watches. So you never know where that might land you, and pay close attention to anything that may pick her interest up. Like if she picks up a watch, pay mind to that. If she says any comment about the watch, like, oh, this watch is actually pretty cool, buy that watch instantly. Just saying. Okay, I see what I did there. I backtracked to me. Guys, if I miss your comment, just post it in again. I'm doing the best I can as we go along. Noctua Watches is in the building. And bro, just so you know, JP, how I knew that you were going to show up. This is the Noctua watch, ladies and gentlemen. If you're interested in a solid, robust NH35 movement that has an all-lume dial and a sandblasted bracelet and case, this is the guy to go to. He is the sin killer, the master put together watches. This is the watch to go for. Noctua Watches is the ultimate tool watches, and I knew he would be in chat. That's why I had it. I literally, JP, had that watch next to me because I knew you were going to show up. How about them? How about them apples? All right, let me try to catch up on chat. He has been heading to building like watch museum. Yeah, at that point, 5,000 watches is a museum for sure. Oscar, he's almost caught up to JJ. JJ, yeah, how many watches does JJ have? He has a lot. I don't know if he has 5,000 watches though. That's a lot. Wristful. The pictures are insane. A whole room. Yeah, 5,000. It's a whole room. So, getting off track here. Let's get back on the beating path. I showed the Addis dive, right? Let's pull that up. Let's pull that up one more time. No, not like that. Yeah, like that. So, quartz movement, smoother sweep, applied indices, got a watch, screw down crown, screw down case back, 100 meters of water resistance. This is not a bad deal. And the wife liked the look of it, so she yeeted it out of the collection. Just saying. Let's move on. Let's move on to another watch, shall we? So this, ladies and gentlemen, was the result. Her whole collection, by the way, I want to say it's about 2 years now from the first watch, because I wasn't building watches right away. But once she graduated from the Rose Gold and she went to the Addis dive, I think that's the order. Don't hold me to it. She took interest in the Addis dive, and any watch that my wife takes interest in, I just give it to her. Just saying, oh, there's another watch. I don't have it here. I'll talk about that after. All right. So from there are a bunch of watch women at District Times. Yeah, for sure, bro. There's a lot of women in the hobby, and there's a company. I forget the name of the company, but she builds sports watches specifically for women. I think that here's the deal, and I hope that there's any micro brand listening to this as I finish my Henny. That whole pink it and shrink it, I really hope that there are micro brands that get away from that, right? It's insulting. I think women should have the option of tool watches. They should have any type of colorway for it. Of course, in general, they have smaller wrists. Not every woman. We have to be very sensitive here. There are bigger women, and they have wrists that are the size of ours, and there's nothing wrong with that. And even if they have a small wrist, it doesn't mean that they have to wear a 34 millimeter. Maybe a woman loves a 40 millimeter. So why not make a watch? Now, how do you do that? How do you make a watch specifically for a woman? For me, it's not just pink colors. It's not just rose gold, right? I think we need to fully expand the collection entirely. Don't add those rhinestones. I think that there just needs to be more advertisement with women wearing the watch, right? Forget about changing the watch. Just show more women wearing the watch, and they need to be more inclusive. I understand that majority speaking, men wear watches as is, but we need to incorporate them a lot more, and it'll make our lives a lot better as the husband when we want to pay for watches and add them to our collection if they have watches in theirs. Just saying. So moving on, the watch cam is empty. Let's go on to the next watch. Where do we go from here? And I'll tell you guys, this is where we're going. Now this, ladies and gentlemen, let me move the hands. This is when the wife, I'm going to be a little bit of a snob here. Forgive me. We're going to be a little snobbish right now. And I'm going to go ahead and say this was when the wife had an official watch. Not that my custom watches were not official. Of course they were. However, we're talking about micro brands usually on this channel. And hang on, let me get yeah, buddy, Erebus. Erebus is the watch next in line that the wife put in her collection. And that's a micro brand. And it's a fantastic micro brand. Matter of fact, I would like to go to the website, but let's talk about it a little bit more. So Erebus was kind enough, and they are the sponsor for this video. They don't know I'm making this video, but as I tell you guys, when a watch company sends me a watch, I include them in these live streams when they're relative. And it is very relative at this point because Erebus, my Erebus watch, once I did the deep dive review for it, the wife was like, "That's a nice watch." And and you already, she's like, "Don't you have an aventurine dial already?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then she's like, "Okay, that's a very nice watch." And of course, I have the Venetianico Rendendore Aventurina, right? So we have a his and hers watch now, right? Because she got me this for my 35th birthday. Erebus sponsored very kindly for the watch that you're seeing before you. And now that is my wife's watch because she liked it so much that I had to size it to her wrist. And now that belongs to her. And she now owns, keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, she said I would never wear a watch. You understand? And now she has a micro brand watch. So for me, that was a humongous victory. And of course, I was more than happy to give her this watch. And Erebus makes a fantastic watch as is. And you guys know the latest updates for Erebus. They actually came out with different sizing for their watches on a lot of models. You can even see they're advertising it here. 34, a 34, where'd it go? A 34, 36, 39, and 41. So that's pretty special, okay? And we're combining two themes here, but it's pretty special that Erebus decided to go with a 34 for their models. That's something that's definitely not commonly seen with micro brands. And it's not only sensitive to women, but it's also sensitive to people. It's sensitive to men who have smaller wrists. So I thought that was a perfect move for them because specification wise, their watches are absolutely fantastic. When it comes to a brand new micro brand, and that's not the first line, right? But it is one of their newer core collections. They're brand new in the whole, gist of things. So the fact that they were able to come out with a 34, which is a size we don't see at all, bravo to them. Bravo to them for sure. Let me catch up on chat. Shrink it and pink it. No. Shrink it, yes. Pink it. No. Exactly. Perfect timing for me to read that comment because with the Erebus watch, they shrunk it, but why, generalize the colors for just, it's a woman's watch, so we have to make it pink. Come on, man. That's silly. That's silly. Let's be a little bit more advanced. Making it smaller makes sense. But again, JP, to the point, there may be a woman out there that wants to wear a 40 millimeter. Maybe they want a bigger watch. Nothing wrong with that, right? It's all that's the beauty of this hobby. The beauty of it is that we can make it whatever we want, right? I never removed that comment. Hold on. That watch would look good on a sailcloth. Of course you would say that, bro. That's your slogan. Your slogan is sailcloth. My slogan is supple. So we got to stay on theme over here. And JP. So let's bring that back up stage. Actually, you know what? Let's bring the Erebus back up. They need a little bit more attention because I'm really proud of what they're doing here for the watch space as is. So they had the Origin, right? Now they have this Ascent, and they're showing the 34. And I even think in Jody's video, he even said it's not necessarily this pink watch is for a woman, right? Maybe there's a man out there that likes pink. Nothing wrong with that, man. Listen, you have to be very comfortable with your masculinity if you're okay with wearing pink. And I agree with that. I don't think colors are for genders. I think colors are for everyone. But to be fair, we have mother of pearl up here, right? That's typically for women. Then we have the pink here, we have the mint, and we have this aventurine, which is what my wife really loved and what's in her collection. And all of these are a 34, right? So I think that was a very smart move for Erebus. And it's not something that we typically see micro brands do, if you will. And let's just fix the screen here. My wife had the nerve to say, this jive turkey. She goes, "Don't drop any of my watches." Okay, here's the deal. Hold on. Give me a second. Let me blow myself up here because you got to see, you guys got to get the full effect. There you go. So let the record show when it comes to dropping a watch and actual damage to the watch, my wife is one. Is it 1-0 or is it 0-1? I guess that's an L. She's 0-1. Okay. I've dropped the watch before, admittedly. I tried to take a fancy shot on the Christmas tree as an ornament and the watch dropped, but it didn't break. My beautiful wife not only dropped the watch, but she dropped the watch that I didn't own. So hopefully she's not watching this. Let me see chat. Let me see chat. Soft and supple. Exactly, bro. That's the slogan over here. Soft and supple straps. That's what we like to get over here on the Santana show. There's a woman wearing a big smartwatch. The same could be applied for tradition. Exactly. Exactly. Listen, there's no reason to say that a woman could only wear a 34 to a 36, max 38. Whatever you're comfortable with, it's your wrist, right? And that's what makes this hobby of ours so personal, at the end of the day. So we did an actual review of this Erebus as well. So if you guys are interested on that Erebus, check out the review that we did. And after that was done, she commandeered that. And she came at the right time because they actually, I actually went for the female end link on here. That's just what it's called. I'm not, male end link, female end link on the J style bracelet because we can't say the other word because Rolex has that coin. But they did a fantastic job specification wise for this watch altogether. Like on paper, Erebus watches are fire. Like they hit every mark when it comes to the quality of parts, when it comes to the bracelet. Like they didn't cheap out. And I'm super excited to see where Erebus is going to go for the future. I think that obviously Jody has his finger on this pulse. Steven's doing a phenomenal job on the back end as a sales background and everything else. So I have high hopes for Erebus and where they go next. I think that this was actually a fantastic watches. You guys saw the different iterations and sizes that they came out with. So where are we left now? So we went from my recommendation to being attaching the timepiece for the missus or for your husband to something personal in their life for their first timepiece, and or like my man said in the chat, if they're interested in going to a show, watch and see if they're interested on anything particular. If they pick up a watch on their own accord, especially, buy that watch. Just saying, buy that watch. Get a watch on their wrist. That's step one. Step two, customize the watch. Build it yourself. Now, that may not be for you. However, if it's not, then you can also contact those stores on AliExpress and you could have them assemble it for you. Okay. So you can do that customization that you guys saw. Let me show that on here. Let's go back to the first watch, which was the teacher watch, which is my wife's profession. So it makes a lot of sense as to why she was all for this being her first watch, right? And you can have the companies assemble it itself. Now, if you ask me, what if I'm looking for something that has better quality than AliExpress to do that? If you're looking for better quality parts, Nomoki Mods is a recommendation that I have to give you guys. And that is my experience. I've done a lot of reviews and a lot of custom builds, as you guys saw for Nomoki Mods. I actually, just so you know, JP, they actually sent me an email and asked if I was interested on 2 new watches that they have coming out for builds. We're going to be doing that on the channel as well. Of course, I accepted. And I'm going to give you guys the rundown on the do's and the don'ts of building a Nomoki watch. But as far as parts are concerned, they're my number one recommendation outside of AliExpress because the two are not the same conversation, right? Like AliExpress is affordable and decent. Again, I haven't had any issues for the most part. At this point, it's about 90% win rate when it comes to building a watch. When it comes to higher quality of parts, Nomoki Mods, for sure. For sure. Everything they build is supple. Everything they build is butter smooth. It interacts very well, especially when you have that metal on metal, when you're screwing the crown into the crown tube, buttery smooth. I had a very good experience building any watch from Nomoki Mods. So That being said, now the only catch-22 is that you can't do that customized dial. So you may have to do a mix match of doing the custom. I wish Nomoki Mods did custom dials because that would be the whole kit and caboodle, but I don't think that they do. However, even if you want to, even if the conversation is not making a custom dial and you just know what your husband or wife wants as a custom watch, you can pick out the parts, and I'm sure that you can contact Nomoki Mods and have them pre-assemble it too. I'm not 100% sure, but it's worth giving them a shot. Send them an email and see if they'll do it. So let's catch up on chat. And I can already see where the chat's going. You guys are having fun with me today. Jubilee bracelet is comfortable as, yeah, man. Here's the thing, Wristful Ignorance. As a content creator, we got to call it the J-Style bracelet. Just saying. I'm not big enough for Rolex to come after me right now, but I'd rather get used to it just in case. Just saying. So we don't call it that. We call it a J-Style bracelet. But it is my favorite bracelet. And as you guys can see, that's the going theme for all of the bracelets. You have your choice between the O-Style bracelet or the J-Style bracelet with Erebus. I always go with Jubilee because it's the most comfortable, and my wife agrees because all of her watches have been that too. This is another thing that you get with the clasp. One of these watches, I believe, have an adjustable type of situation where you glide it. That ain't it. Let's see this one. Because you can get these J-Style bracelets, and then they have the quick. Oh, I guess not. Most of hers don't, but my watches do. So, but yeah, J-Style bracelet on the watch that you're looking at on camera now. J-Style bracelet on this second watch that I built with her spirit animal being an elephant. J-Style bracelet on the what do you call this? The clomage of the Celebration Rolex. J-Style bracelet on the Erebus. But finally, we got to the Addis Dive, and they had the O-Style bracelet, right? So she's happy with that, and that also gives something different to the collection as well. Now, we have another watch to show. I showed you guys my his and hers, which I'll show you guys again. The his and hers for us is the two Aventurine dials, one from Erebus and one from Veneciano. This is the Rendendore Aventurina. Minimalistic. She doesn't like minimalistic. She likes having more of the indices on there. So Aventurine, still Aventurine all the way home. So let's take a look at chat, and then I'm going to show you guys the final watch. What are you guys saying? You guys are having fun? Jubilee is very supple. Yes, it's the supple metal. I call it a natal. Yo, you trying to get me canceled, Dr. Bob? Trying to get me canceled over here. You can't say that. Mark from Long Island Watch made a video about that. How he got a cease and assist for saying that N-word. And I do mean NATO. I can say it because I'm probably not big enough for anybody to pay attention. But yeah, man, that's a thing. You can't say NATO, you can't say Jubilee, and you can't say Oyster. Cancel me. Skylar, can you build a 7750 chrono? Hold on now. Lone Ranger's trying to put me to work. What do you say? Skylar, can you build a 770 chronograph watch for me? If you're willing, we can talk later. We'll talk off camera, bro. My schedule is crazy, but Dave D, I got a lot of love for you, bro. So I will find the time eventually. Do this, brother. Find all the parts for me. Make it easy. Matter of fact, we'll talk off camera, but what makes it easier is if you just purchase all the parts, send it to me. I'll assemble it and send it back. Fair enough? But yeah, bro, I got you. I got your back, man. You're a day one. Dr. Bob's laughing. 2, please. Oh, no. I done messed up. Y'all gonna jump on the bandwagon now. I am with Hi-O. Yeah, I see that, Oscar. I need a watch with a movement. I need that watch. Wait, what now? Hang on. I need a watch with that movement as well. Okay. We'll talk off camera, man. So the last watch that we're going to showcase here, guys, and this one. So for my 35th birthday, again, the wife. Let's use this watch cam. The wife got me this, the Veneciano. Very special watch, man. I really do love this watch. You guys know how I feel about Veneciano in general. You know, if you're with it, you're not, whatever. So in response, I followed up with another watch for her 35th birthday. Yeah. And I'm going to show you guys. Let me, can you guys see it? Okay. I don't want to spoil it. Let me, this one's not on a bracelet, so I got to actually strap it to this watch holder here. And those of you that have been watching the reviews probably know which watch it is anyway. So this was the last watch that I got the wife. Now, let me explain. This is a block watch. Yes, this is a micro brand that makes watches for kids. Now, again, in the beginning of the live, I talked about how my wife is a preschool teacher. So here was my theory. That's a lot of sun. My theory was this: get my wife a watch that was built necessarily for kids because she's a preschool teacher. And when the kids are running around and she wants to reward them and let them wear her watch, like I thought that would be a connection to that type of vibe, if you will, right? Like, oh, this is Miss Sharif. You saw the first watch, Miss Sharifa's watch. Whoever's a good boy or girl, I'll let you wear the watch for the day. And now the watch fits them. And then the watch is made for kids, technically. So I thought that was very, very nostalgic. And I was right on the money. So when it comes to buying a watch for him or her, thinking outside the box and connecting the watch to them as best as you can is probably the best method that I could give you guys. And she's super passionate about being a preschool teacher. She reads a lot of book on the psychology of children. She spends a lot of time crafting her lesson plans for the kids. She takes a lot of pride and joy into that. And I thought that giving her a watch that was technically constructed for kids, but where she could connect those two things together would be very special. And she absolutely loved the watch. And she was connected to it right away. Now, because I'm her husband, the first watch I got her wasn't this one. I'll show you guys what the watch was. Let's switch gears here to this. So the first watch that I got her, where is it, Block? The first watch I got her thinking that she'll like, and first of all, let me go back. Bring me up to the stage, please. I didn't think she'd like this watch. Let's bring the watch up stage as well. Sorry, guys. I need an assistant to do this for me. I didn't think that she was going to resonate with this watch because it's an all loom watch. This watch was constructed for kids. The body, the case, the bezel, the dial, the hands. When I say this has loom, you haven't seen an illumination of loom until you've seen this in the dark. And I did a review video for Block. They're a fantastic company, in my opinion. I think they're a little higher on the price side, to be fair, because if you're buying a watch for a kid, it's a little bit on the high side. However, their going theme or their whole thing on how they're teaching kids how to read time, like as you can see on the bezel itself, it has everything very simplified so they can understand how 5 minutes passes by and how that interacts. So if you put this, if you say, hey kids, we're going to eat dinner at 5 minutes. Well, now they see that 5, they put it here and they know when this minute hand reaches the end of that 5, that's 5 minutes. Leading into that, the actual indices are blocks, right? So it's easier for them to know what hour they're in because right now, even if it's a little past that 4 o'clock, it's like 4:30, right? It still shows that it's touching the 4. So very, very smart when it comes to building a watch for kids and getting them accustomed to reading an analog watch. Yes. But a little bit on the high side. But going back to what I was saying before, right? Let's bring up the website. Let's catch up the chat and then I'll go to the website. The case glows in the case glows in the dark, the bezel, the hands, the indices, and the strap. Watch my video, bro, Eric, if you want to see what I'm talking about. The whole thing glows. It's crazy. Block is for rich kids. He's saying that because they are a little bit expensive, Oscar. Let's go back to the website. Here we go. So me being her husband, going back to my story, I didn't think that she was going to like the all glow, right? I'm like, it's all glow. I don't know if she's going to like that. Where are we? It's not the 33, right? It is the 33. The 38 is for adults, by the way. We'll get into that. So I got this watch first. This is not something that she would go for. This is not something she would go for. I said, you know, maybe this one's nice. She's not going to go for the all glow. Let me get her this one. Sure enough, I show her the watch. She loves the concept. She loved the concept. She's like, babe, that was so thoughtful. I can't wait to wear it. She did wear it. She does wear it. But then I showed her, yeah, you know, I was going to go with the actual glow model, but I didn't think that you were going to like that. So, and then I showed her the watch and she goes, oh, I'd love that. I'd love that. Of course I got it wrong because I'm her husband. So I had to exchange it. Block was very, very helpful with that process. They had no problem with me doing the exchange. They understood that I got that from my wife, and we swapped that out. And I did the review video. In the beginning of that review video, just so you know the story is true, you see both watches, and that's the reason why. Before I returned it, I got a shot of it so like that I could at least showcase it for that review. And this is the watch that she settled on. So Block is not a company, a micro brand that is talked about heavily. And I think that despite the fact that there's a cost factor in it, I think that it still needs its time in the light. I wish more people would do the review for it. JP, Dad's Mod, actually did Dad Mod's watches, actually did a review of it as well. They now actually have an adult version that you can enjoy with your kid as well. So let's bring that up to the stage again. So the 33, I think this is a 33. Let's go back. So the 33 models are for kids, obviously. And then they made a 38, which is a GMT. I haven't got my hands on it. I did talk to them a little bit about it. I'm not sure if they're going to send me the watch. But the 38 watch, the 38 millimeter, this is an actual GMT watch, right? And all their watches are quartz. It's still a Swiss quartz movement. So, of course, that's going to be easier for kids to use as well. The lugs to this watch are fixed. So that's also nice, whether this be for an older kid or be for the, you know, kind of like a dad or mom and their child. I think that that was a really cool concept that they came out with, and they came out with a couple of models to match with it. But it's an excellent watch. And despite what the material is made out of, it is a solid watch. My wife wears it to work. She has the kids play with it. They put the crown on the left side. This way, when kids have the watch on wrist, it's not going to interfere with their actual wrist if it were on this side and on their left hand, right? They put the crown on this side. So I thought that was pretty smart as well. And it's absolutely fun. It's a micro brand, and I think they make fantastic watch as is for sure. And the wife really did enjoy that kind of theme to match with it. So let's bring myself back on stage. So it was a home run. It was a home run. And at this point, she officially needs a watch box. I don't know if I put a water somewhere. I'm getting cotton mouth. She enjoys her collection. She needs a watch box at this point. And I was successful in doing that. And those were my tips and tricks as far as getting her into her own watches as a collection. Now, again, she's not a watch enthusiast, although she does know more than the average bear because I won't shut up about a movement, its parts, the specifications, this and that. And she occasionally watches my reviews. So she knows a lot more. Like if I said, what's a bridge to a watch? Or I said, what's a barrel to a watch? Or if I say, you know what I mean? Like she knows those parts. So she doesn't probably want to admit that, but she knows more than the average bear. So I'm pretty proud of that. And she has a full collection. And I'm really excited that she gave me the green light because she thought that if I showed her watches, people were going to go ahead and make them. They were going to copy the custom watches that I made. So she's like, don't show my watches. But she finally gave in and she said, you know what, for the cause, go ahead and show the watches. So that is pretty much what I have here. And again, I got to show love for my boy. Bear with me. Noctua! I am no longer the only watch reviewer that has done a deep dive in the Noctua watches. At this point, there is another gentleman that did a watch review for it. So if you guys are interested in a nice tool watch, a new micro brand, please check out Noctua watches. And they are attending their first watch show, hitting the ground running. And yes, I am biased because it's my boy. So just giving you guys all of the cards as is. Let me catch up on chat. How long have we been live for? Okay, so we've been on here for a while. I'm going to catch up on chat, and then I'm going to, I think I'm caught up on chat, actually. The whole case glows. Yeah, so you guys were just maxing relaxing. So what's to come? Let me catch you guys up. Nomoki Mods has 2 brand new cases coming out. I'm going to be doing a build video for that for those who like to watch the custom, not custom, but watch the build it yourself kind of watch. And again, guys, that's on theme with what we're talking about here, because as you guys know, we built the first watches. So that's another plus that you can add to your arsenal if you're looking to get your better half into watch collecting. Again, it could be a woman, it could be your husband or your wife. Building a watch, having the skill set, and it really isn't that hard. JP, if you're in the chat, back me up on this. It's not as hard as you think. In the beginning, it's more tedious, but if you take your time and you tackle building your own watch, you really can do it yourself. And it hits different when you know that you've built a watch from scratch. So I always advise for people to take a crack at it. If not, then I understand. But what I got out of it is being able to make a completely custom watch. Again, all of these 3 first watches were built from AliExpress, and they were like a homage, whatever you want to call it, Holiday Inn, to Rolex style watches. But you can also search more unique dials, handsets, cases, if you will, for an NH Move-It. You don't have to go the homage route. You can type in unique NH case, unique NH hands, and everything else to build something that's a little outside the box if you want to go that route. I also utilize Do-It-Yourself Watch Club. I've also utilized now the Do-It-Yourself Watch Club. That was something that I purchased completely on my own. It's actually the watch that you guys see as my logo. That was the very first watch that I ever built. And so that's the reason why I've used it as my logo. That brought me onto a crazy journey into my collection, into my collecting, into the hobby, and everything else. And that's what you guys are seeing. You guys are seeing my journey and my path to watch collecting. And it eventually led me to building these watches and also contacting Nomoki Mods, which for sure they have fantastic parts as is. So if you're the type of person that's like, nah, I want to buy something of substantial quality if I'm going to try and build it myself, I highly recommend you guys reach out to Nomoki Mods. And we have a collaboration coming up with them for 2 new builds that they have coming out. So I will record that entirely, and I'll show you guys and again, I like to walk you through the do's and the don'ts, what to look out for, and everything else. Mark Well is also coming, or he's already come out with a new line of watches. And I'm going to get my hands on that. We're going to do a deep dive review of that as well. And a couple more collaborations, man. So this thing's in the pipeline, but the whole point of me telling you that is happening all because of you guys, right? Your support, your recognition. Where I am today with the channel would not even remotely be possible if not for your support. So for all of you in the chat right now, for all of you that are in the playback, because I know a lot of you watch the playback, guys, I'm super grateful for your support. I have a lot of fun coming on this live and interacting with you guys. So I really do appreciate all the love and support that we've been getting thus far. And you guys are the hero to the story. And I'll never forget that, you know. Where is the lovely lass? What's on her wrist today? I have to imagine. So there was one watch that wasn't here, and I did a review video of it. So if you guys want to see which watch I'm talking about, it was the Grand Seiko. It was the Grand Seiko watch by Tandorio, their clomage of it, and it had my last name on it. So if you want to know what the last watch in her collection was, and I don't think she put it on my table for me to know. So she might be wearing that watch today. And that watch was actually getting ready to be sent out to somebody. And she said, oh, that watch right there? That's nice. You know what that means. So that's probably on the missus' wrist today. She's out visiting her family. That's why I'm able to hang out with the boys and girls, the watch wizards, and everything else. So she won't be home later till today, but she's probably enjoying that Grand Seiko clomage from Tandorio. We did a deep dive of it. They actually did that custom Santana dial. But again, if you guys are looking to put a custom kind of look to the dial, whether it be your last name or it be an image, you guys have to get and I recommend a 4K picture. to send the rendering to the stores on AliExpress, and make sure this is the key. If not anything else, listen to this. If you're going to do that rendering, make sure that you get images back and you get a close up and you also get a far away. So you want to get an image that's very close and you want to get an image that's far away so you can check the proportions to make sure, because I've done customizations to a dial where it looked good up close, but then it wasn't legible further back. So I've been through that and I don't want you guys to go through that. So the lovely miss is with family right now and she is wearing her homage her Tandorio clomage of the Grand Seiko that has a custom logo of Santana from the rendering that I've done for all my Santana dials. Follow me? Ladies and gentlemen, that's all that I have. And I think I'm caught up on chat, but I do appreciate you guys for sticking with me. This was a long one, but this was an absolute pleasure to be able to do something like this. Stolman, I'm working on the Stolman review. I actually have that on wrist if you missed that from the beginning. East Stolman is a watch brand that we're taking a deep dive look into right now. This is a bracelet that's from San Martin. Their bracelet is here. So that's not the one that comes with it, but I have most of that video done. We have more in store. And I will definitely, I'm going to try my best to do another live next Friday around the same time if you're interested. So I appreciate you guys for spending your most valuable asset, which is time. And I hopefully will see you guys in the next one. Later, guys. Have a fantastic weekend. Peace.